Hey guys, it's Scott with Scottie B Cards, and in this video I want to look at your baseball card hot takes. Baseball Card Hot Takes is a series where I'll ask my Instagram audience what their hot takes are, and then I react to them and let you know if I agree or disagree. One thing I'll also note is on these hot takes, I also ask my audience, do you agree or disagree with this hot take? And I have that poll result here, so that way you can see what they thought, and I'll also share my opinion if I agree or disagree. Very first one, people who collect the hottest names lose more money than people who collect nobodies. 65% said yes, 35% said no. One thing I will note, when we say lose money, we're talking about like opportunity cost, because if I bought Ohtani earlier this year and I thought it was expensive, I'd have a lot more money right now. I wouldn't have lost anything, right? So I did lose that money hypothetically, but at the same time, I thought it was too expensive, so I didn't buy in, and I missed out on making a profit, right? Or having really great cards that I probably can't afford for a long time now. At the same time, if I collect random Rockies players or Billy Butler, who's a PC guy of mine, those cards aren't going to go up. Those are probably going to lose value more than the Ohtanis. And so it's one of those tough questions to ask. You can lose money on both. How about that? There is no safe card in sports cards. Buy it because you like to collect it. If you buy it as an investment, make sure there's a good reason why you bought it as an investment and have a strategy behind it if that's your goal. But overall, just collect cards because realistically, nobodies and the hottest names are both going to probably lose you some money. SGC has higher standards and requirements than PSA. So this is a hot take. Thank you for the hot take. I don't agree. Neither does the audience, but it's one of those things where I've graded with both PSA and SGC quite a few times. And there have been very few times I get a card back from PSA and I'm like dumbfounded that it graded so high. Usually it's the opposite. I'm dumbfounded why it graded so low. At the same time, every single order with SGC, I have times where I think, what? This got a 9.5 or a 10? There was a big scratch on the surface, or the back corner's dinged. You can see it. That is just my personal experience. And people agree, but I think that PSA definitely gives out more accurate grades, and every once in a while SGC will give you random 10s. One thing I'll note, however, is SGC's gem rate for everything from TCG to sports cards is generally lower than PSA. So they say it's harder to get a 10 if you look at actual grades that pop. So maybe they're right, but from my experience from others, it looks like they do not quite agree. After that, Topps Now has run its course. They went all in during the Ohtani 50-50 mania. I added that, and we've all caught on. So if you don't know, after Ohtani hit his 50th home run and his 50th stolen base game, they got his game-worn pants and a game-worn batting glove. They cut him up and they're going to insert them into cards. They announced that they made this big Ohtani 50-50 set, 50 base cards of stolen bases and 50 home runs. So there's 100 total base cards of all Ohtani, and you can buy a pack for like $25 or a box for like $250. And people bought those boxes, and we thought that there was a finite amount of them, but they actually basically printed to demand is what it seemed like. So they basically made it a lottery system where they have this really rare card called Topps Dynasty Black, where it's the one-of-one logo man from the pants from the actual game. That's autographed. That's great if you get that, but there's going to be tens and thousands of people who bought packs and boxes that aren't going to get that, and they're going to get a bunch of base cards. One thing I'll also note is there are parallels and one-of-ones of those base cards, but they're all Ohtani, so I don't know how much they're actually going to be worth. But it's worth noting that a lot of people weren't happy with the Topps Now products because it's kind of like a lottery system is what it feels like. They call it a sweepstakes, I believe is what it is, but it's essentially a lottery. And so people are going to get burnt. A lot of people aren't going to get the good cards. They're just going to get base cards, and that's going to make them upset with Topps Now. One issue Topps Now faces, in my opinion, is any like a monumental type event to happen in order for them to sell a big amount of Topps Now cards. It can't just be like Aaron Judge hit his 10th home run of the season. I have the opportunity to get his game-worn batting glove. People won't care. They won't buy in big quantities like they did with this particular product. And yes, I think people will get burnt, and they have caught on to what it is. Who knows if they'll keep buying? People always say they won't buy, and they seem to. So we'll see what happens. After that, this one is a hot take. If Shohei Ohtani was American, he'd be a top 5 most famous athlete in the world. Ohtani is probably already a top 5 most famous athlete in the world. Yes, football players internationally, like soccer players, not American football, but like football, you get what I'm saying. They are bigger, definitely bigger. But at the same time, I think it helps Ohtani that he's from Japan. He has an entire country that's collecting him that would not have collected him if he was American. So actually, I think him being from Japan makes his cards more valuable and more sought after. It builds his legacy of coming over from a foreign country and taking on Major League Baseball and being one of the best players ever. That people in Japan love that, to see that happen for Major League Baseball and to see one of their homegrown talents actually come over and do well. If he was American, I don't think that would be the case. So I think this is no. I think Ohtani being an international superstar is already happening and potentially a top 5 famous athlete, and I think he'll grow from here. Juan Soto will lose 90% of his card value playing for a non-competitive team. So there's a couple assumptions here. The first one, he's going to sign with a non-competitive team. Could that be the Yankees? Could that be the Mets? I don't know. Whoever he signs with, I think will be competitive. I think that's going to be a requirement from Soto. Unless the Giants offer him like $750 million, then I don't know how they're going to be competitive fielding that contract. I don't think it's going to happen. But either way, I don't think he could go anywhere unless if he plays the same Juan Soto play, he does well, has good seasons, has 6 to 7 WAR, he's not going to lose 90%, especially at 25, already has a World Series, already proved it in this postseason as well. His cards aren't going to drop. They might drop 10 to 20%. Yeah, definitely. There could be a small bump as he goes to his 4th team in like 5 or 6 years. But at the same time, he's still Juan Soto. And I think whatever market he goes to, he's committing a long time. There probably will have a no trade clause where he's with that team for a long time. So I do not agree. I think his values will be just fine. They may go down a little bit in the long run, but if he goes to the Mets as an example, they will drop 20%. But I think in the long run, if he does well with the Mets, they will be very competitive. They'll be very good. They're going to spend money to be good. I think his cards could go up just more than they are now, potentially. Topps Chrome Cosmic will have staying power. A lot of people don't believe so. The super majority don't believe so, but it's one of those interesting arguments. Which sets from the modern, ultra modern era today forward is going to have value? It's been collected. Topps Chrome Cosmic is beautiful. They're beautiful cards. I've been a hater of this product, but I've come around. I've watched openings. It's a lot of fun, really pretty cards. People also thought like Metal Universe back in the late 90s, 1997 to 1999 was a garbage product made for kids. It's kind of similar in the sense where it's like the cosmic idea, really out there designs. And that is one of the most popular sets now. Do I think that'll be the case? No, I don't really think it has staying power. But the reason I bring that up is because we have no idea what will have staying power for this type of stuff. The flagship stuff, yeah, we have a pretty good idea. But for this type of stuff, it's anyone's guess. And if you believe in something and you buy the product, you could get rewarded. Or at the same time, this could just be another random set that just fades into the background with so many different sets and so many different parallels that are readily available. The last one is Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman cards all rise again. Dodgers win more titles in the next 5 years. Everybody agrees with this one too for a pretty good reason. Ohtani's up, Betts is up, Freeman is up with his World Series MVP. Mookie has 3 World Series wins, the most by an active player. Ohtani won his first World Series, has 3 MVPs. Freddie Freeman has an MVP and 2 World Series, and they're probably going to win one more. I don't think that's a very hot take for me to say that there's a good chance they win another one. And it's one of those things where Mookie Betts may have a Derek Jeter type career, but better than Derek Jeter. Don't kill me, Yankees fans. He's just a better hitter and a better defender. It's one of those things where he's won 6 Gold Gloves, 6 Silver Sluggers, has a 140 OPS plus, and an MVP. So it's one of those things where he could, if he wins 4 or 5 championships or even 6, if he can do that and be good for the next 3 to 4 years while doing it, it could be really big for his legacy in cards. Freddie Freeman as well. He's really established himself as the premier first baseman, I'd argue, of this generation. Him and Goldschmidt were kind of there, and maybe Votto as well. And Freeman is 1A, and those other 2 are 1B, and Ohtani's Ohtani. So I think there's a great chance their cards are relevant for a long time. And we found out in the Sports Card Hubby, relevance is almost more important than actual performance at times, is what it feels like. So yeah, I agree with this hot take. Okay, those are my thoughts on these hot takes. Let me know in the comments down below if you agree or disagree, and I will see you in the next video.